Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Monk, and this is the Onya Mark Weekly Live Show. And we are going to talk about one of what continues to be the hottest topics of the year, the month, whatever you want to call it. And that is social media. And today we are going to dig into why your social media strategy probably is broken or may not be working like it used to, and how to actually fix it. So, hey, I'm Ashley. I'm on the mic, and on your mark, get set and listen. Okay, so let's talk about social media in general. Social media is exactly what the name insinuates, and that is the platform in which to be social. And yet, so often we approach social media with a sales approach and we wonder why people aren't converting. Well, it's because the platform by nature is designed to be social. If someone is on a social network, they're typically on the platform to engage and interact with family, friends, and colleagues, not necessarily to buy or sell, which is where advertising can come in. So when it comes to crafting and creating effective social strategies, then why do so many people go after the wrong approach? Well, there used to be, let's talk about the evolution of social media. When social media was first introduced, the whole concept was relatively new. We think back to 2008 when Facebook really put social media on the map. Sure, MySpace exists, but phones and mobile apps weren't what they were today. And with the increase of phone usage, so did social media. And so when a lot of these platforms were originally created, they were really limited in the functionalities compared to what we have today as they were being beta tested. And so with platforms specifically like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and LinkedIn, the best approach to posting was to post often and to post really just a lot of different content to throw spaghetti at the wall. Because what those algorithms did was that they would show content chronologically to people. And so brands like Forever 21 that sell a lot of products took advantage of this because they knew if they just continued to increase the frequency and the volume of what they posted, that people would continue to see their brand. It was basically free internet real estate. Well, fast forward to a few years ago on Instagram, where the algorithm really changed in 2018. What began to shift was that the algorithms on these social networks focused more heavily on engagement and interaction with quality content versus quantity. And so the efforts really increased and shifted to, okay, how can we get people to engage? How can we get them to like? How can we get them to comment? Well, fast forward even further now, and a development that was created was this whole Instagram engagement pod philosophy. And this went on a variety of platforms where basically people would form pods of about 20 people, and these 20 people would be quote unquote growth hackers, and they would comment, like, and engage on each other's posts as soon as it was posted, so that way within 5 minutes of putting a post out there, those people would engage, and it would thus trick the algorithm to moving it higher. Well, now that philosophy is completely outdated because the algorithm is so intuitive and so sophisticated. It can detect when the same people are liking and commenting over and over around the same time. Therefore, it won't necessarily prioritize posts this way. So that is the transition and kind of the evolution of how social media has shifted. And the issue is that most people have still created strategies around this consistency piece of showing up and putting content out there. Whereas they're not creating content around the philosophy of really knowing what it is their client wants. Instead, I mean, listen, templates are incredible. We sell them, they make life easier. But the thing to remember with templates and with a content plan in general is that at the end of the day, you need to always be testing, because your market and your engagement on your accounts with people in your market will tell you what it is to create. And so the reason that most people's social media strategies are broken is really threefold. One of those reasons is because they're creating content that they don't like, that their audience doesn't like, excuse me. The next is messaging, that it's not in alignment with their market. And the third is typically that they are not leveraging engagement, which is a critical part of a social media strategy, because social media is a two-way street. So let's go ahead and talk about looking at what the market wants. The reality is that when you build up a following, people will like and comment on things that they want to see more of, and they will typically just keep scrolling past things that they don't necessarily care about. That's why it's so critical when you create a profile for the first time to test a variety of pieces of content. Maybe it's reels, maybe it's videos, maybe it's stories, maybe it's using photos and still photography, maybe it's graphics, maybe it's a combination of both, maybe it's selfies, right? Ultimately, it's going to depend on your market. And if you build up enough of a following through engagement and which we'll get to in the third point, it will be very apparent in your reporting and your stats. And listen, you don't have to pull all these fancy reports to figure it out, though it can be helpful over time to consolidate this data. Really, the easiest way to audit your account, Instagram has analytics in the app, so does Facebook, so does LinkedIn. But the easy shortcut to do this is just to go through your posts over last month and look at what people are liking and commenting on. And then create more of it. It's that simple. So that's step one. You need to create content based on what the market wants. Step two is your messaging. This is really, really important. Okay. Messaging is everything. And this is one that there are a lot of nuances, especially in young companies, especially if their website or other areas to pull content are not congruent. But the more refined your mission and vision and brand is, the more specific your messaging needs to be. For instance, it can be really critical when you create content that it's positioned in the way toward the market that you want to attract, and that you're auditing this from time to time to make sure that it's consistent with where you're going as a company. I'll give you an example. When we first started working with advertising clients, a lot of the people we were serving were ramping up and during the pandemic to make online sales for the first time. A lot of our clients had successful brick and mortar companies that were selling in that capacity, but they hadn't moved online. And so our messaging around that time focused on things like 0 to 20K in 2 weeks, or how to make money with Facebook ads in a short period of time. And so because our market hadn't been practicing online, a lot of our messaging shifted toward getting them online. Well, fast forward to the end of 2021 and where we are at now, we serve a very different consumer, and the people that we were serving have really graduated. And so a lot of our clients want to scale online. A lot of our clients may not be big businesses, but they have a growth-minded organization. And so one thing that we did internally when I started looking at our messaging was we used to use the term small business owners, entrepreneurs a lot in our marketing, even though we worked with companies too. And I wanted to make sure that small business owner, entrepreneur, solopreneur, coach, consultant, even verbiage like that was eliminated from our vocabulary. The reason being that we want to attract more growth-minded organizations. And so we changed our language to companies that play big, meaning that a company could still be one person or an individual that has a growth-oriented mindset, but we want to attract people that have expansive and big thoughts, not that just want to play small. And so as a result, our message needed to shift. Therefore, our hook that we used in a lot of our content, 0 to 20K, also needed to shift because our clients aren't there anymore. Our clients are thinking of their return on investment, to seeing a 2-to-1 ROAS. They're thinking of sustainably, how can I generate traffic in the long term? And if they're not thinking like this, when we look at our overall concept and where we're going, that messaging needs to be congruent. So that's a second reason why your social media strategy may or may not be working, is because your messaging may not be geared toward the correct client. It needs to be positioned who you want to go after and who you enjoy serving, not who you served a few years ago. So that's number 2. And finally, the last one that's really kind of important to recognize and to adjust accordingly, as I have brain fog and I'm trying to think of it, is really focusing in on, goodness, you guys, it's a Monday morning, if you couldn't tell, as this podcast and this video goes out. But at the end of the day, it's really focusing on being social and really attracting the right people on those platforms. And that social media aspect goes with engagement. Okay, it's coming back to me. And that two-way street contact. Because again, social media was created to be social. It was created to form relationships. And so if engagement isn't a part of your strategy, or it hasn't been in the past, it's really important to be commenting back on pieces of content. It's very important to send direct messages and engage with people to build your following. It's very important to comment and go after other accounts that are similar and comment on their feed. It's important for you to be commenting back on your posts, because at the end of the day, people are on social media to build relationships. And if you are a faceless brand and you're hiding behind your content, well, then it's going to be very hard to be social on social media. And ultimately, those relationships and that engagement piece are going to be the catalyst that help you to attract more people into your following. And so, to give a quick recap of why your social media strategy is broken and how to fix it, number one, it's because you're posting content based on what you want to do and based on what's easy, not based on what the market wants. It's absolutely critical that you're auditing your content from time to time and making sure the people engaging and interacting with your content are who you want to attract and that they enjoy what you're putting out. And if not, maybe you're shifting. Number two, that your messaging is on point. It's very important that maybe you have a voice guide or a mission and vision statement. I'm learning the importance of this as we've developed our companies recently. And you're really outlining who you work with and also who you don't work with to kind of draw a line in the sand with what you will and won't put out there. This positions you and also helps people that do want to potentially work with you. It filters in and out the people that may or may not be a good fit because you're being very, very clear. And finally, you have engagement in your strategy because you're truly being social on social media. Now, Pinterest is going to be the exception to this because, of course, it functions more as a search engine. And so more on that later. But at least for the big three, which I would consider to be Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or for platforms like Twitter, there are plenty of others. Those type of platforms, it's really important. TikTok too. It's really helpful for the algorithm to engage back and forth on content. So that is why your social media strategy may be broken and some very quick but yet effective ways to fix it. So I would love to know if you're still struggling with content. What questions do you have? What is it that stood out about this quick episode that really, really encouraged you or helped you? Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments, and then I will see you next week for another action-packed powered episode. On your mark, get set, let's grow.